Hey, what is up guys? Daniel here and welcome back to the channel. And if you've been watching the channel, you know that I have not been the most consistent when it comes to doing series, but I'm happy to share with you today that I'm going to be starting a new series or segment, as some would call it, on my YouTube channel. So this series is gonna be basically a sort of crossover between a talk show and a podcast, right? Where I will have candid conversations with interesting people doing interesting things. I truly hope that this becomes a, more consistent and more continuing series, and one that grows with me and that I hope all of you guys will enjoy as well. Today's guest is none other than Faith Madubuko, a musician and drummer of the band Verge of Umbra, a band that infuses the essences of rock, reggae, and heavy metal. On this episode, we talk everything music, everything from humble beginnings to the creative process, and if you stick to the end, a little bit about what we think about the state of the Belize music industry. All this and more coming up right now. Enjoy. Welcome everybody. This is a sort of like live podcast video thing, because I can't seem to start actual podcasts. And so this is probably the best way to motivate me to do a podcast, if it's in a video form, right? Yeah, so on today's episode, I'm talking with someone. Okay, before I even speak, right? I have this skill. I don't know if you want to call it a skill, that allows me to meet people I don't know on the internet and somehow have them talk with me live or in person. And so before we
It's
start
happening.
things off, introduce yourself to everybody. What's your name, and all of
Okay.
that.
Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hi, everybody. How you doing? The name is Faith, aka Hit, the current drummer for Verge of Umbra. Started right here in Belize. So, generally work in the music scene, specifically the rock and heavy metal scene. Verge of Umbra, we're a band that fuse reggae, hip hop, and heavy metal into something that is very distinct, very new, well, kind of newish, but definitely has a Belizean flavor to it. And yeah, I've been with the band for the past, I'm guessing 6, 7 years now, and we have been all over, had experiences, worked on stuff, is currently working on stuff. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. So, like, tell us more about this band. Like, was it something you became a part of, like, from the very beginning, or was it already
Oh yeah.
established?
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
Oh,
give us a little
okay. Yeah, yeah.
history behind the band,
History
how it
behind,
started.
yeah, Verge. A- Actually, what had happened was Verge had been an entity. You had a couple of members who had started it about 2, 3 years before I joined. So these guys kind of knew each other from the get-go. Let me see, it was Jenko, the vocalist, Nello Player when he was still with us
Yeah.
as the reggae vocalist. Jenko was handling the hip hop side of things. There was this the drummer before I came in, Gerald Chavanas. There was Lowell Gillett and
Yeah.
Andres Pineda. So these guys, this unit, they were doing their thing before. And what had happened was I was playing at a gig with another band,
Hmm.
Almost Seven from Belize, big, big, big rock stars from way back, and I was doing stuff with them one night, and some of the guys from Verge happened to be there, and they saw me, and they were like, "Yo, we like what you're doing. Would you like to come in? Feel us out, see what's happening with us. See if you like our stuff." And yeah, and that's it. Yeah, so I just slid into that drum throne, and I've been there ever since.
So
So yeah,
how many years has that been though? How much years have you been part of the
that's
band?
been that's that's a good point. Yeah, for the past 6, 7 years now. Yeah. These guys who were there before, I came in, they've been friends with each other from like way back in like, high school. Like they've been, they kind of knew each other, grew up around the same music scene from like way, 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 way back. So yeah, all of this actually happened all together. In terms of my entrance into Almost Seven, and then being introduced to Verge, and then being officially being made part of Verge of Umbra. So yeah, so I've been in there for the past 6, 7 years now. Yeah.
And like, what is the band doing now? Are they still like playing or going on tour?
Oh
Or
yeah. Oh oh yeah. Actually, what's happening right now is let me see how much information. Let me
leaks?
try to recall how much information. Yeah, yeah, all of that. I'm trying to remember what we discussed during the last meeting with the manager. Okay, what I can say for sure right now is we are currently working on new music to come out. It's going to mark a very interesting dynamic shift sonically, that the band is trying to evolve to. And yeah, that is what is happening right now. We are actually currently working on new music right now.
That's
I believe
exciting.
we have about 2 projects. Oh yeah, it is. It is for me anyway. And we actually have 2 projects in the pipeline. One is going to be an introductory kind of sonic teaser to this oncoming phase, and then the second project is going to be like a huge, that's going to be everything coming in together. So yeah, that's what's happening right now. Working on new stuff, and yeah.
That's awesome. Now, okay, I wanna kind of take this conversation even way back, like almost to, I don't even know if you could say childhood or like way back.
Mm,
Um, First
okay,
question, right?
okay.
First
We're going
question.
back. Okay. Uh huh.
Do you know how to play the recorder?
Oh no.
No. Because there's
Nope.
this thing where
Nope.
like everybody just has to know how to play the recorder or like they teach you in school. I personally don't know how to play the recorder either.
A lot of that has to do with where you grew up. For example, a lot of Belizeans that I've come in contact with, especially those from the music scene,
Yeah.
that was definitely their track. They definitely started out there, and then later on they figured out, what they were used to. But I wasn't born in Belize, although I'm a Belizean now. I wasn't born in Belize. I was born in Nigeria, and back home when it came to music, there wasn't a particular instrument that we were like driven to do or to start off with. Beats in school or at home, you know. The reason I actually got hooked on drums was because my father actually he took me aside, and he was a drummer as well, and it was getting to the point where he was, like, I'm done with the whole drumming thing, so I gotta like give the bug over to you. So like he actually took me aside and he trained me in the basics of groove, of rhythm, and of
Mm-hmm.
keeping that backbeat. So that's where I started. It was only until I came to Belize that I saw the whole recorder thing happening with everybody and their grandma. So yeah, no, I didn't learn the recorder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't know. To me, I feel like people, I guess they usually would go for like the recorder because it's an easy
I think it's
instrument.
it's
It's cheap.
yeah,
It's not too
exactly.
expensive. You know,
Especially
fairly
especially
easy.
when you're looking for especially when you're looking for a form to introduce musical theory to, right? And musical theory, that is knowledge that you can work on expanding, or you can transfer to almost any other musical instrument, right?
Yeah.
So long as you know the basics, at least the notation, the note values. So if you start off there, then it's easier, or it makes it less of a hassle for you to, shift to other instruments. So as a beginning point, and like you said, given the inexpensive nature of it, and that it's fun, at least the first 2 3 weeks to scare everybody in the house with the
Yeah.
noises you make coming out of that thing. Yeah, yeah, that's how it starts.
Yeah. Like I know for me, I actually wanted to learn how how to how to drum. That was actually my first,
Okay,
I guess you could say, interest. I was like,
instrument of
man,
choice.
like drummers just look too cool when they're doing their thing. I remember I told my parents, right? I
I
was like,
agree.
I told my mom because my mom used to be a piano teacher back in the day. Um,
Okay,
not too
okay.
advanced, but like yeah, she knew how to do it. She knew her way around the instrument,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
why do you wanna like learn how to play drums? Like I guess she didn't think it was that like cool, you know? And so
I honestly,
I've never learned drums because of that. I went to other
oh
instruments.
no, I mean, it's interesting because like with other instruments, what I've discovered is you know, especially pitched instruments of some kind, like you can clearly or immediately, see what affects like changes in pitch and changes in melody, how it with other instruments, you can see readily how it either affects the player or affects, the audience. When it comes to drums, it's a little, I don't want to say difficult, but it's a little bit different in the sense that for you to almost elicit that type of response, there either has to be something of the drummer's personality themselves, or there
Hmm.
has to be something about the way they actually play, to get people to ooh and to ah, in the same level as a guitarist or a pianist would do. So because that learning curve exists, it doesn't present itself to many people as an option that you can go for. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
But it's changing. It's changing nowadays. When I look at what the drumming landscape has become, or it's turning towards so from sort of established drummers that everybody kind of felt aloof from,
yeah,
to youngsters nowadays that are not only changing the game in terms of skill, but are changing it in terms of how they communicate with their audience and with their fans. So the young, well, not the younger, but
we're
the
older.
upcoming generations these days, yeah, apparently the upcoming generations these days, they get to see a much more connected side of it than, I don't know, the guys who listened to Dennis Chamberlain, a couple of decades back. So yeah, all those little minute shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that's part of the reason why I think like, we I make music sometimes and the drum section is always the weakest part for me. Like
Oh,
it's so bad. Like I need to I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm programming them like manually in in the
And
DAW itself,
mm,
or
yeah.
I'm more drawn to like live, like an actual
Hmm.
person
Live
playing it,
playing. Yeah.
and then you record it,
Play.
and then you put
Yeah.
it in.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to get that
That
authentic
that's a that's
nature
an
in a, a
mm-hmm.
more
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
computerized version.
That that in itself is an acquired skill. Yeah, that in itself is an acquired skill because if let me put it this way, if you are in a situation where you are comfortable with the programming aspect, and then you're also in a situation where you are comfortable in the live playing part of it, if you can marry those together, then that kind of tends to up your level of drum programming, right? If you're able to understand, okay, not just what to press or what notes to use, but also how it can potentially make people feel alive, or when they hear it, or when you play it, and then what it'll sound like if you played it and you're able to bring those worlds together. That can begin to get you on a path towards being able to do better drum stuff
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
so yeah. Although there are cases, I mean not even cases, but for some other producer out there without not exactly being part of the live experience. They are still able to do very, very interesting things with just the programming aspect. And I think that is where, like almost singular focus on that aspect and like trying to learn as much of it as possible and
Mm-hmm.
all the nuances. That is where it can kind of help you overcome, not having access to the whole live playing section of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So moving on, I wanted to know like, do you have any like family background of musicianship, or was that just something that you
Oh yeah.
wanted to pursue?
Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. My entire family uh they are to some extent all musicians. I mean, for example, one of the situations that comes to mind is my uncle actually, who is, when it comes to his level of the family, he's kind of looked as the baby of the family.
Mm.
Most of my uncles and my aunts, they had some level of musical foray. My uncle, well, the baby, he was part of a musical group back home that released music to great national acclaim. He still does stuff like that from time to time. That was just on his level. When it came to my particular family, like I said, my dad, he actually taught me to play drums. My mom, she sang. That was her thing. And my dad, he sang too. Harmonize with her. All of that stuff they did. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's becoming more apparent to me as time goes on that a lot of my, I wouldn't exactly call them musical preferences, but very subtle musical influences come from the stuff, they surrounded us with, coming up. So my predilection towards rock or towards heavy metal, it wasn't an acquired taste for me. It was more of just a continuation of stuff I used to hear,
Mm-hmm.
back home. I mean, my dad, he no longer plays the records, but when we were talking and I mentioned bands like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, bands that I thought were more approachable because they were around his time, and he blew my mind with knowledge of their musical style and expression. And I was surprised because that was rarely a part of him that I got to see.
Yeah.
So it was interesting for me now, the bands that I listen to now, knowing that, they came from, there, and then hearing this person that I thought in my mind, like I couldn't see the both of them together, but apparently they were together as often as possible, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah. So from back home, everything music, that has always been around. One of the influences, in some way that I truly enjoy trying to explore is Yanni, Yanni. He is this new age classical composer, and he actually released this live DVD. I think it featured the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and this was filmed in Greece,
Mm-hmm.
and it was released in '94, which for me is a very, very interesting year, and one of those things I take as, signs, right? And my father, he actually bought that DVD, and I would play it years later. I would play it over and over and over and over again. And interestingly enough, the drummer for Yanni, and I think this guy has been his drummer for like the past 20, 30 years now in all of his concerts and live shows. Charlie Adams, I believe. He has a solo during that entire set that was mind blowing. Up until this day, I think it's one of the best drum solo pieces I have ever heard. It had all the hallmarks of what a great drum solo is supposed to be
Yeah.
about. It had the crowd participation, it had the technical prowess, it had the pitch and the yaw and the give and the take and the dynamics. It was beautiful, both to see and to hear and to watch. So like I had been kind of bombarded with stuff like that growing up.
Yeah.
So for me now, when I think about either the type of music I listen to, or I enjoy, or I find some connection with, or I even make, I can see all those influences from like way, way, way back. So Yeah,
I guess that's definitely something I have to check out. What is it, Yanni? Is
you
that?
should. Yes, Yanni. Oh yeah, I mean, I can send you the links, but yeah, it's Yanni, Yanni, and specifically, the concert is titled Yanni Live at the Acropolis. You know,
All
yeah,
right.
you plug that in, and you play that entire concert, and it's unbelievable. It's something. It's an experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that after this. Okay, so like I have some notes here, right? Like you've answered
Hmm.
some of them already. Like I was gonna ask you like how'd you learn how to sing or stuff like music, and who are like your mentors and things. Is there any other mentors
Mm.
besides your parents?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Okay, so like I mentioned Charlie Adams already, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to mentorship, my idea or perspective as to a drum persona that I look forward to, or
Hmm.
that I look to emulating something about them. Um, it's changed because previously my thing was, and this will almost go for especially up and coming drummers,
Yeah.
I would try to look up to drummers that had the best chops. Like you see a drummer that knows how to control that set and knows how to
Hmm.
go from here to there and up and down and drag that drummer, that person, yeah, follow them. But then, especially when I consider my life experiences and things like that, I am now looking up towards drummers who can not only do that, but they can also engage with the audience, because that is something very powerful. They are able to transmit something of what they're feeling and of what the music is trying to do to them, to the audience. And it goes just beyond the audience hearing them and going, oh, that's nice, to an almost higher state of being. So drummers like Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater.
Hmm.
Mike is a beast on the drums, but you watch his audience interaction. For me, he was never one of those drummers that had to sit still and like look away and not move in order to get through whatever he was playing, no matter how complicated it was. Keep in mind, this is Dream Theater. Mike, he enjoyed himself. He tried to bring in the audience to what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed that in every single one of his playings. There's Mike Portnoy. Um, there is Matt Garcia of Animals as Leaders. You do not want to have Matt go off on a drum solo, because it's like he wants to eat up everything that's
Yeah.
happening. And a lot of times what I do is I not only check out, just the edited and crispy live versions of their plays. I go and check out the videos people record on their phones and stuff,
Yeah.
and you can see how he takes it. Yeah, you can hear the almost natural sound of the crowd. How he takes them from, starting from quiet to the highs, and he brings them back in, and you can see them getting enraptured in how he's playing and in how he just wants to let it out and stuff like that. And on top of that, he is crazy talented. So drummers like him, I also look forward to. They also influence some aspect of my playing. I have to mention Chris Adler. Well, former Lamb of God drummer, Chris Adler. And Chris wasn't like any of these other types of drummers. His thing was to serve the music as much as possible. And what I love about Chris, and what I try to emulate or think about when I think about him, is his precision. Like Chris will play the craziest thing, you know, be it either in studio or live,
Yeah.
and almost no note is out of whack. Chris is, I think after a while, they used to call him the atomic clock. Either him or Jim Hoagland, both of them, they did the same thing. They were crazy, crazy precise,
Just blow
you
up.
know. And Lamb of God, yeah, Lamb of God is among what I consider my big four of bands that kind of got me to where I am today. And so like listening to him over and over play heavy, play awesome, play great, and play with the time. Yeah, that was cool. So yeah, these guys, yeah, I kind of circle amongst them, yeah, to figure out where I am and how things are, and yeah.
Yeah. Any like lessons that you've learned from them? Like any particular thing that
Oh
you
yeah,
probably see them do that you have incorporated into your kind of drumming style?
of course, of course, of course. And
Um,
this is where, you know, probable this is where probable research into the actual term would help. But the interesting thing about these drummers is they have their trademark licks. They have things that they would play, and immediately, if somebody else played them, you would be like, "Yep, I know where you got that from," right? So, for
okay.
example, you can check it out. The biggest example I can think of is my Portnoy. He has this thing that if anybody else plays, they refer to it as the My Portnoy Fields. Right? Now, don't be mistaken. It's not like he was the originator, but the way he used it,
Yeah.
the intensity, the propensity, how long, all of that, it became known as like a signature lick of his. And it's this thing where it's like two notes on the bass drum and like four or six on the hands, and you
Yeah.
can either choose to separate or you can choose to subdivide that how you want to. So that once I learned that, I overused that everywhere in everything. It didn't matter if it belonged there or not. I was so ecstatic for learning that field. I used it everywhere. So yeah, he is one example that readily comes to mind as to somebody who actually has a drum pattern or drum fill that I'm able to use. Yeah.
Nice.
For Chris Adler, yep, for Chris Adler, one that I'm actually working on now is called the Herta. And I think the musical definition of a Herta is two fast notes followed by two slower notes. So it could be two eight notes followed by two quarter notes, or two sixteenths and two eighths, so 30 seconds and sixteenths. But that's the yeah.
Heard that.
So that fail, being able to, yeah, they heard that being able to do that on your feet, being able to do that cleanly and precisely, that was Chris Adler's definite domain. And yeah, that's actually something I'm trying to work on right now. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Um, you've done many performances, right, with Verge of Umbra.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. I've done performances for Verge with Almost Seven, playing as the drummer for Jinko, playing as the drummer for Nilo Player. So yeah,
like
I have. I've quite a
yeah,
couple under my belt.
yeah. Could you probably describe one of your like favorite performances, if that's okay?
Okay.
Like out of the
Yeah.
many, because
Um,
you probably
out of the
toured
minute.
all around, I don't know, many countries, right? Like where all of
Hmm.
you performed, you toured.
Performed it. Okay. Okay. We've performed in Guatemala, in Mexico, in Germany, and yeah, Guatemala, Mexico, Germany, and Cuba, of course. Of course.
Oh,
Whew, how can I forget? Yeah, and in
when
Cuba.
when were you in
Yeah.
Cuba? When were you in Cuba though?
A
Not
couple
before.
years ago, about 2, 3 years.
You
Yeah.
sure?
Yeah, pre-COVID. Yeah,
Like
sure. Very short. Yep, pre-COVID.
2015 and onward?
I mean, the exact date might escape me like right now,
Yeah, but
but
just the year.
yeah, yeah. It was definitely pre-COVID, like, and it was definitely pre-COVID, and it was after walking. So probably 2018, 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
That
really?
was Cuba.
But I was here though.
Yeah,
We didn't
yeah.
hear anything. I didn't hear anything.
No, no. Yeah. The connect didn't happen then, but yeah. Played in Cuba 2 nights. Yep, it was cool. In terms of one of my best playing experiences,
Yeah,
wow,
like
that's
describe it. Describe maybe the people, the vibe, you know.
mm, hmm,
Take a little
hmm,
moment. Take a
hmm,
little
hmm.
moment to think about that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
Um,
something happened during that tour that you just you just loved.
I actually okay. You know what? I wouldn't say because it's going to be difficult for me to pinpoint my like the favorite, the number one, but I will have to say the one that stood out to me most will definitely be it'll have to be the Cuba one,
Yeah.
right?
What made it
Because
so yeah, what made it so different from the rest?
oh oh okay. We all okay to begin with, we almost never made it.
Really?
Like we had everything. Yep. Oh yeah, it was crazy. We almost had everything arranged, and actually no, we thought we had everything arranged. Only when it was time to actually fly over there, on getting there, we discovered a couple of things were out of whack, and because of how long it looked like it would take us to put them to rights, it looked like we would never be able to make it at all. But
Mm.
somehow, just in the nick of time, we were able to make it, get down to Cuba, get settled in the hotel, and have the people come over and check us in and do the stuff that they had to do. And yeah, and because of the delays due to timing and everything else,
Yeah.
we when we were finally ready to go on stage, we were only supposed to do about one or two songs, and that was it. So we go on stage, we perform, we get the well, I get the nerves out of the way with the first song, and we're like, okay, cool. See you guys. Thank you very much. And then we're about to walk off the stage, and we get word sent to us. They're like, okay, you can do one more. So that's okay. We go ahead. We fire off one more. Thank you guys. It's good. Thank you. Wonderful. About to walk off. They're like, okay, you can do one more. And we do one more. And then after that, okay, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. About to walk off again. They say, do one
They
more.
want next one.
And then, yeah, thankfully, yes, thankfully, that was the last one. We did that one. We came off, and people loved it. They were so happy, to have us come from Belize and introduce our brand of metal. The response was unbelievable. Up until this day, we have we were able to meet some great people, make some new friends, yeah, and that was cool. So I guess after that first night, at least for me, I thought to myself, okay, well, that was it. At least we got to be here, we got to make it, and whatnot. And then it turns out the next day, which was the second half of the concert series happening in that area, they wanted us to come back as well. Now that show, yeah, at least this time we had more than a couple of songs to play. We were able to do our entire set, and the crowd response, the audience response was really freakishly awesome. So yeah, that entire experience on a whole, that was yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that for me was definitely one of my it's up there. It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, it's up there.
the
Although,
uh
uh-huh.
yeah. No, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh no, what I wanted to say was, I mean, this from you won't rank as one of my favorites because the memory attached to it, at least for a good amount of it, wasn't all that good. But the way it completely changed in the end,
In the end.
yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, 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 yeah. And that was the trip that we took to Guatemala to qualify to go to Joaquin. Now that trip, that was interesting. I mean, the trip itself, nothing happened. What happened was when we actually went on stage to play. Because for me, that night, that qualifying night, everything that could go wrong apparently went wrong.
Went wrong.
I broke my stick in half.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
one of my sticks broke, and I couldn't reach for another one. My double bass pedal, something went wrong somewhere. I had to I had to hurriedly borrow a competitor's double bass pedal, and it gave out midway through the set. All of that happened, and after we finished and I got up that stage, I thought to myself, if we don't end up in Germany, I'm going to be the reason why. Maybe nobody else felt that way, but I definitely felt that way. So after all the qualifying bands got to play and whatnot, the judges will take time to deliberate. I didn't even stay for that because I was like, we lost. I want to go back to the hotel and bemoan my own fate by myself. I screwed up. So I go back to the hotel and leave everybody back at the qualification grounds, and I'm asleep.
Yeah.
And it's 1:30, 2 a.m. in the morning, and I feel somebody come in and they're shaking me, and I wake up disgruntled, and the person was actually our Central American manager. He gets us the gigs down here in this region anyway. So
Yeah.
he came and he's shaking me and he's like, "Yo, Faith, why on a win? You guys won." I'm like, "Say what now? We won? Yeah, yeah, we won. Yeah, actually." It's not until the video for one of our songs called Trova Rock. It wasn't until the video for that song came out that I got to see the audience and how people felt when the results were announced and the reactions of everybody. Because I wasn't there. I was sulking at the hotel because I was pissed at myself for, issues that I thought I had. So yeah, it wasn't until that video came out that I saw the jubilation and the everything that happened. Because for me, I was like, I screwed up big time. So 2 a.m., the rest of the guys come in. I congratulate them, and I go back to sleep. And so it's like 7, 8 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning, and we're all gathered around the breakfast table. And for the first time in a long while, usually when those gatherings happen, people are talking, it's boisterous. But for the first time in a long time, everybody is quiet. Everybody is still stunned, still shell shocked, because now we're going to Germany.
Yeah.
and we and we now had to yeah, and we now had to begin to figure out a way, to get there. But before that, the shock was still sitting, and once in a couple of minutes, you would hear one of the guys go, "Why? We're going to Germany." Like just turning that phrase over in their head to like sink it in. Once in a while, yeah. Wow, we're going to Germany. And we'd sit down and munch our eggs and drink some orange juice. Wow, Germany.
No, no
So
words.
yeah.
No words to explain
No
anything. It's
words,
just
no words, bro. No words. Just acceptance. Just acceptance and happiness. So yeah, yeah.
um, tell me more
Hmm.
about this. You call it what was the name of the festival? It's like a competition. Like, tell us more about that. Like,
Yeah, walking.
whack
Yeah,
it.
sure, sure. Yeah.
Like
Well,
whack
it's
it. Like with a
spelled
stick.
W-A. No. Mm-mm. That's the thing, because from what I understand, even though it's spelled that way, but it's pronounced with a V, so Vakin.
Whack it.
That's how it's supposedly, yeah, because the festival itself, I think it either is or it bills itself as such. It's the biggest metal festival in the world.
Alright.
For the entire period when it's happening, yes, you have anywhere close to 100 to 200,000 people every single day of the event lineup. It is big. It is huge. Everybody who is anybody in the heavy metal scene or in the rock scene has at one point played at Wacken, either played there once or played there multiple times. Anybody who is anybody in the metal scene has played there, you know. So it happens in Germany. It happens, I think, the village or the area where it happens is also called Wacken, which is, you know, where the name came from. So what happens is, apart from the usual festival lineup with, you know, the bigger, more well-known bands,
Mm-hmm.
they have this thing where they hold regional competitions, right? And then the regional winners, the bands that win regionally, they get to um go they get to go to Germany, and they get to play live in front of tens of thousands of people. And then there is an overall winner that is determined from that particular competition in itself. And depending on where you place from the first to the fifth, you know, you get a ton of prizes. You know, record labels are there to hear and to see who can design things of that nature. So yeah, so yeah, for us, playing in Guatemala, at that time, we were trying to qualify to be the Central American winners. And then when we go over, we would face guys from Africa, face guys from Europe, from Asia, stuff like that.
You mean
And
when you go to
then
Germany,
based
no?
on, you know, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was why we were playing there. So I believe every reiteration of the Vakin Festival every year, they would have this regional slash international competition taking place. So when it was time for us, we were able to not only supersede the Belizean side of things, but also do that regionally, and that's how we got there. So
Nice.
yeah,
And so you guys have gone to Germany yet, right?
yes, we
You were
have.
able to go.
Yeah. Oh, you mean gone back after? Yeah, yeah, we were. Yeah, yeah,
And how was that though in
yeah.
Germany?
Since we, it was interesting. It was okay. First off, I was not used to the cold. Somebody should have informed me. It will be hella cold, especially during nighttime. I didn't get that memo, you know.
So you didn't bring a
And
jacket?
on some days, no, I did, but then like having to wear it every day, and even that apparently was insufficient. You know, yeah, I didn't have enough layers. You know, I thought I was ready. I was not ready. You know, so yeah, the entire thing was nice because we were there for the duration of the entire festival. So every day from sunup to sundown, bands are playing. You know, bands are playing, and for the first time, I got to see some of my biggest heroes band-wise live. You know, I've seen Work play live. I've seen Batushka play live.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, yeah, it was pretty interesting. I had to get used to the sun not setting until like 9, 10 in the night. Like, what? Why? You know, no, don't do that. But yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun. My routine was to wake up and then walk like half a mile down to this food spot that made these fantastically huge burritos looking things stuffed with meat. I would get that as a breakfast, and then the day begins. Walk around, visit food trucks, pop in and out of tents, hear bands play, meet people, hang out with the rest of the band, all while getting ready for, our turn on stage. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool trip.
Nice, nice. All right, we're gonna move on from that, and we're gonna go to
Mm,
a little bit more, even deeper now, right?
mm-hmm,
Um, like
mm,
as a musician, right? what would you
Mm.
say is some of your like weaknesses and strengths? What as a
Okay.
musician?
Oh, as a musician. Okay. Well, weaknesses, let's call them things to improve on, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
They won't stay that way forever.
hmm For me, it's consistency, right? It's consistency until results are achieved, right? So, one of the things I'm trying to work on is, okay, let's say something as basic as I want to be able to play this drum pattern at this particular tempo. You know, I found out that more than likely what is to happen is I'd start, and I'd keep up with it for a while, and then I'd either get sidetracked or, I'd see something else that seems interesting
And you'll move
because
on.
the, now the novelty of wanting to learn that rhythm or that lick has faded, and I can't push through, that tedium of sticking it out until I get there, you know. And if I got there, that in itself would provide even more motivation. That would be another notch in my belt to tell me, yes, you did good, or you can do this. What's next? Let's go. So being able to consistently practice, that is the one thing that I am constantly, I have my periods where I'm like, yes, I'm all in, let's do it. And then there are periods when even the thought of picking up my sticks to play anything almost makes me want to vomit, you know? And it's trying to keep those, honestly, it's trying to keep those downhill periods as few as possible or lasting for as little as possible. That is the challenge, because on the road to getting better, um, the onus begins to fall on you yourself as the musician to keep on, no matter how unfulfilling at that particular time it feels like. You have to almost tell yourself, screw how you feel, right? I have set aside this time for me to do this for an hour. Get it done, regardless of how you feel. Focus as much as possible, get it done, and move on. You have to
Yeah.
tell yourself that until you hit the, you know, until you get to where you're trying to get to, you know. So that for me is it's a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be honest,
yeah.
as creatives, right, ourselves, it's very common to be like at that phase, right? Of not wanting to do what you
Mm,
love, right? Because like I love taking photos, I love
yeah.
making videos, but there's days I just don't want to do that, right? There's days I feel
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
like I'm the worst, you know? And so yeah, it's just trying to get out of those phases as quickly as possible and go back to where you were.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All
And
right.
that's where establishing, yeah, that's where establishing a habit of some kind, where it gets to the point where once again you remove your feeling out of the equation. Whether or not you feel it's okay or you want to doesn't matter. It's to the point where you just do it.
Nice, nice. Um, what
Mm.
do you do if when you make a mistake? I'm pretty sure you've made mistakes
Mm.
during
Oh
your
yeah,
performances.
you mean play? Yes.
What do you
Oh,
do as a drummer when you
easy.
basically messed
Very,
up?
very
How do you get back?
mess up. Oh no, that at this point for me, it's easy. It never happened. Pretend like it never happened. If you were looking like this
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
messed up, you keep on looking like this until the song is over. That your your analysis comes after, right? Whatever prep work or thinking was supposed to have been done either before the during private practice or rehearsal, or it's done after your performance. The during, when you're playing, focus, do your job, which is to get to which is to get the audience to a particular place. And as a performer, you have to be careful because the audience isn't just listening, they're also watching you. So if you give them the indication that something's wrong, even if to them nothing was, that enters their psyche. So no, you and them are there to enjoy yourselves. Stick to that as fast as possible. Correct the that the mistake is either being corrected or as much as possible. Try not to let on that one was even made. It was natural. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did
Yeah,
that.
fake
I
it.
meant to do
Yeah,
that and continue.
yeah, exactly. It's a
You know.
artistic style. It's an artistic choice.
Hmm. Hmm.
Exactly, exactly. Because I know I play the piano, right? And there, of course, there will be times you have to perform, and yeah, I've done the thing where I made a mistake, and your whole face just have a look. You're back online?
You hear me?
Yeah, I think
Oh
I
wow.
think I think you
Yeah.
cut off. I think you cut off.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
One. Oh wow. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
you're good now? All right. No, I was
Yeah.
just saying
Can
like,
you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I was just saying like,
Okay.
as a performer myself, right, on the piano, um,
Hmm.
uh, I've been in situations where you make a mistake on the keys, and then you kind of like freeze up. You're like, oh God, and then your face have this look. But I'm slowly learning to like you say, fake it until like you make it, or something along that line.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Fake it till the show's end, and then yeah, and then beat up yourself afterwards.
Yep, yep, yep.
But
Um,
until then, work on it, get through the show, and yeah, move on.
all right. What is your process for dealing with anxiety before a performance
Oh,
or stress before a
before-
performance? It's like stage
okay.
fright. Do
To
you
be
still
honest,
have it? Do you still?
okay, good, good. To be honest, I love performing, right? I almost at times can't get enough of it. I enjoy it. Actually, I can't. I try to calm myself down, not because I feel stressful, but because I want to get on the drums so quickly, right? So I have to like actually calm myself and be like, wait your turn until it's time, you know. But in terms of stage fright or performance anxiety, for me, that's not a thing. Yeah, I love
No,
performing. I'm
you love
almost
the
always
performance.
ready. Yeah, yep. I'm almost always ready just to get on and see what happens. Yeah.
So so so
So
so so
yeah,
you're
for
so
me,
you're saying so you're saying you don't mind public speaking as well. You don't like I mean, you don't mind cameras on you.
I'm good. Look. I have been performing from I was little. School productions all the way up until now, either being in them, starring in them, directing them. I've been doing this from ages ago. This is my
Yeah.
wheelhouse. I live here. I rule here. Welcome to my kingdom.
Like for me, I'm quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Like I've been quiet for long. It's only until I started YouTube that all of this started to change, right?
Mhm.
And so like right now, I'm at I could say I'm halfway where I want to be, but better than nothing, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, heck, the only contribution I would make to this particular question would, I guess, be breathing exercises, um, although I would say it definitely does help if you are very, very comfortable and confident about your material, what you're about to play or say or whatever. If you have as tight a handle on it as possible, that helps a lot. In that case, you can essentially talk yourself down from whatever anxiety level you might be at, right? By reminding yourself that you notice you have this in hand, you can handle this, But if it's material that you're still trying to be comfortable with, or you you haven't had that much time, you know, being conversant with, it'll be a bit difficult convincing yourself that on stage with people watching and probably some people watching for you to screw up, that you can handle yourself. But if you know the material intimately,
Yeah.
it helps a whole lot too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that's where
So,
the whole practice thing comes in. So yeah.
all right, nice. Let's move on to your music producer side, because from the time I've talked to you, I've known that you make music, you produce some music, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you use
Hmm.
different DAWs or digital audio workstations, right?
Hmm.
So let's start from there. So
Hmm.
how did you go from live playing drums, like when, into more
To do
digital music production, like
Okay, sure. It began when I realized that there was a bifurcation in the stuff that I played and I enjoy, and the stuff that I enjoy for me, right? Like the stuff that I would listen to, and immediately I would say, that's me, right? When it comes to that versus what I would play live, there is a little bit of a difference. So it was in the move to explore, okay, this is what I know I like. This is what gets to me immediately. This is what gets me into a certain headspace immediately for me, right? Sounds almost selfish, but I think it's more of giving yourself a chance to explore stuff that in a certain way, live or with Verge, at least at this point, it, the both of them don't exactly match. So when I realized, okay, I could have the best of both worlds. I could do my stuff with Verge, right, and keep on doing it and enjoying it, and I can still get these ideas out of my head. These things that seem to only make sense for me, right? And I can put them in a structured form that I can go back to over and over and over again, and immediately slip into that headspace. I can have both and be happy. Eat the cake and have it too.
and have it
Yeah,
too.
once I realized that was possible, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah,
So what is your DAW of choice?
Fruity Loops,
Fruity Loops?
FL Studio. Yep, immediately,
Yeah.
immediately.
I,
Yeah,
I
and
started I started
yep.
with FL too.
I mean, for me, at this point, I am not so technically minded when it comes to using DAWs. So my thing is, I don't want there to be too much of a barrier between the idea and the execution. If I have to tweak a million things before I um I can get a note down, I don't want it. At least not now, right? So FL for me, it's very, very intuitive for beginners.
those ideas, those scratches, as crappy as they might be in um in the beginning, you can get it out of your head and set it down permanently immediately, right? So for now, yeah, it's working for me.
Yeah, like I was a FL user, but that's because
So you know, you get it, you understand.
yeah, it's fairly easy. Thing is, the first time I made music digitally was with FL back in like 2013, right? That was a long time ago.
Oh wow, okay,
And
okay.
the laptop that I'm recording like this my voice with right now is actually the same laptop
Uh-huh.
that I started FL with.
Oh,
Yeah, and
okay.
the reason I stopped was thing is it's easy. It's nice. It's just my laptop cannot
Mm-hmm.
handle it anymore. I don't know how it did back in 2013, but like once you load up more than one plugin, it just starts to like choke and dead basically.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so
that's
I
why from then. Mhm.
yeah, and so like
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and so I stopped using FL. Things like there's so much things
Okay.
but yeah, I left FL and now I make music
Mhm.
exclusively on the iPad, right?
Okay.
But
Hmm.
some part of me
Hmm.
keeps seeing like these cool tutorials. They teach you how to do this cool thing. I can't do it on the iPad. I have to go back to FL. And so it kind of pains me. It's like, I need to upgrade this laptop because I want to do more
Hmm.
things, you know? And
I,
so,
I I would actually I'd actually go ahead as to advance the theory that the DAW anybody is using is almost based on what is happening with them at the time. Like it's influenced by what type of setup they are able to have or the type of life that they live, right? Um, so for you, I'm seeing you're more of an on the go type of person, right?
yeah,
So the
that is
stuff
true.
that you have for me, I feel like it reflects that, you know. But for me, it's different. I need to be here in this particular space, for me to have something happen. So my own setup kind of reflects that, you know. I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes sense.
No, 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 no. It does, it does. So like it segues perfectly into this next question, right? What is your
Uh-huh.
creative process, right? Let's say you have a
Oh.
like you have an idea for some new piece of music or something.
Hmm.
What is your process
Hmm.
like from thinking
Okay.
about it to doing it? Like
My
what is
first thing
your quick process?
to do with that. Okay. Sure. The first thing I do is, okay.
So the
I
idea
have
pops into your
a
head, right? The
an
idea pops into your head.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I have an idiot key nectar something something or the other, right? And on my recording laptop, I have um I have this file set up in such a way that it has certain instruments like the piano blank. So as soon as it pops in, I fire up the controller, open that blank slate, and immediately begin to translate it, plain wise, right? And then I begin to mess around with different chord voicings, maybe change the keys. And in doing that, I am fine tuning the idea. Sometimes it turns out to be something totally different. Other times it turns out to help me further hone in on the idea I started out with. So yeah, that's what I do. Idea, play, and then begin messing around. And then if I like it, I save, right? And then I can begin to put out different samples or patches that match what I'm doing. And then from there, it starts to grow, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any favorite plugins that you want to mention if you remember them?
Sure, sure. My favorite, since we're talking about the piano, is Addictive Keys. Yeah. So that has a variety of piano sounds, and not just sounds, but those sounds can get you into different moods. So you would have voicings that are bright, you would have um voicings that are warm, that are dark, and then it allows you to move the different mic placements, get different vibes,
Oh yeah,
things like that.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's
my
actually pretty
yep,
cool.
yep, yep.
Is it free or
So
is it paid?
well, the version I have is free, but there is a paid version. At one point, I was using also Spitfire audio, and Spitfire, it samples um voicings from many instruments, orchestra, stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
I've heard
my
about
number
them. I've
one.
heard about
uh,
them.
mhm, my number one always Addictive Keys.
Addictive
Yeah.
Key is nice.
hmm hmm
But I'm pretty sure you've come across like situations where you have this creative block,
Uh-huh.
right? Ha any ways that you do personally to break out of this creative block? Like you just can't think of any, like let's say, because like for me, right? I'm a pro at
Mm.
making 8-bar loops, right? But I can't seem to carry that 8-bar loop
To get out of the
into
eight bar.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like how do you, like if you are stuck
Okay.
somewhere, how do you fix it? How do
Uh-huh.
you break out of it?
Okay. Sure. Well, there are a couple of ways, and some of these ways can be used in tandem or used separately. One of the things I do is step back, right? Acknowledge to myself, you know what? Right now, this is it. This is the best I can do, right? It's one of those things where, have you ever tried to remember the name of a place or a thing, and you are focusing, trying so hard, and you can't? But then you begin talking about something else,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden it just comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So for me, one of the things I do, I step back, try not to, worry about, yeah, try not to, one second. Whew. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You're
So,
back.
yeah, I'm back. I step back. I try not to worry about it too much, all of that. That's one thing. The second thing I do is I pay attention to um songs um that seem to have a very heavy influence on what my loop is sounding like. And I ask myself, okay, how did they go from here to there, right? And I see if I can replicate the same um technique.
Yeah.
And I often find, yeah, that in doing that, maybe maybe I don't end up doing the exact same thing, but it can open up, new areas that I can go to. So yeah, those are the only two that come to mind, at least right now anyway. Yeah,
It's like
either one.
stepping back and looking for
Mm-hmm.
other songs
Step.
in that you're trying to go for, maybe
Yeah.
same vibes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Either one of those work. Yeah. But you have to be careful with the first one that you don't step back
Step back
and
and
step
never
off.
come back.
Exactly. 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 make a point that at some point you will go back and you will try and see what happens, you know. And sometimes you might need to step back two, three times before something happens, you know, but always make a point to go back,
Yeah,
you know.
because a lot of
Yeah.
times, I have a friend, right, who also produces music here, and he's like,
Hmm.
one time we were making some music. Well, I mean, yeah, we were making some music, and then like I wanted to kind of like take a rest because it was already getting a little late. But then he was like,
Hmm.
if you jump out of this now, like because you're already working on it,
Yeah.
you will lose
There
the
are.
spark, and then when you come back to do
Hmm.
it, you won't be able to finish it. Or
It'll be.
yeah,
There are.
do you
Yeah.
believe that? Do you believe that?
And in those cases, yeah, I would do that. I would stay, you know, um, grab as much as I can from that session, um, follow that spark until it dies down. Sometimes it happens that way. At other times, yeah, you really have to sit back, you know. So yeah,
Right.
it all
Yeah.
depends.
Um, what is your like? What is your favorite? Like, what is the music style that you make though in FL? Because it's not
Okay,
metal, right? It's not metal
right
as far as I know.
now, no, oh no, it's very different. Right now it's a cross between trap and R&B. Yeah, yep, yeah. It's a cross between trap and R&B and the rap. Yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah.
One more thing. Wait, actually,
Mhm.
more than one more thing, actually. Do you think music theory is important?
Ah, okay. All right.
Like, can I be a successful musician or producer just
Uh-huh.
without even trying to learn music theory?
Okay. Let me put it this way. You can, but it's one of those things that if you know can make your life infinitely better. So for example, we just talked about how you know one can get stuck in that 8 bar loop phase, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Depending on how much musical theory you know, right? That can give you an even greater set of keys. You know, keys both literally and ideologically. Yeah, ideolo- woo,
Cool. Yeah.
ideologically, right?
Ideologically, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of- yes, it's okay. Think of it this way: no music theory is the equivalent of always having to access um, a dictionary only this thick, right?
Mhm.
With musical theory, it's this, right? So, which case, honestly, would you prefer having? You
Obviously,
know,
the one with the option, right?
exactly, exactly, right? So, yes, to a certain extent, you know, not knowing musical theory, it's not a hamper to success, but if you have the opportunity to either learn or to increase your skill in that area, go for it. You know, the more you know, the better. Always,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Because all right, so I've done a little like music theory, right?
Hmm.
But I've always
Hmm.
found it kind of like I don't know, maybe it's where I was taught,
Restrictive.
yeah, or maybe it was
Uh,
just my age at the time. But like there's this like there's traditional music theory, which is the one with
yep.
all
Hmm.
those notations and
Hmm.
styles and whatever. And then there's
Hmm.
the producer music theory, where like let's say Like for example, I think like they say all major scales, right? You just have to remember a few numbers. Like I think it's 137, I think. And then like to change to a minor is like 147. And so like that music
Mm-hmm.
theory, I see, I don't know, I think
Yeah.
gravitate more toward because it seems more practical. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. Like personally, I feel like
Yeah.
traditional music theory is very it's too far.
It can be rigid. Okay.
Exactly.
Honestly,
Like
honestly,
it's
part
like a
of
case where what you learn and you're not really able to
uh-huh.
apply it to real life.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Okay. Good. You you actually brought up a very good point. Part of it can come from how you were taught, and number two, if you if you were made aware of other applications apart from let me see, apart from classical playing, you know, if you were taught, yes, fine, playing classically, you can use it like this, but in other situations, say in jazz or samba or even reggae, this is how this applies, right? Then for you as a student,
Yeah.
you are no longer relegated to thinking of it like this. You can begin to see the colors and everything else in between, right? So if you were taught that way, um, you will more readily see its application, you know. But the way it's currently being taught, it's not either fun or, yeah, people um, don't see how it applies to them. And that's the thing. If you can't marry the theory with an almost personal connection, you will lose being able to learn why it's useful. You know, you lose interest, lose motivation, all of that. Because honestly, um, music theory, right? Um, the deeper you get into it, it's not so easy, right? You you almost have to motivate yourself in order to continue going deeper and deeper and deeper. So if there's little personal connection, if you don't see how you as an artist doing your thing, if you can't see how it helps you, it becomes difficult for you to either use or even want to do anything regarding it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because like I remember when I was doing music theory, I know what a major
Uh,
is. I know what a minor is, you
mm,
know. I know how to make
uh,
them, but I don't know why, right? So like
mhm.
the other day, like I learned it because I learned this the key codes, I guess you could call it,
Uh-huh.
because of music production. They're like, oh, you just need to remember this and that. I was like, that makes so much sense. You know, like the one four
Yep.
three one I mean, 137 147. You
Mm-hmm.
just count up the keys and
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that's a
Mm-hmm.
major. All majors have that
Yep.
same structure.
Uh-huh.
And when I
Yeah.
learned that, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't I learn this? Why didn't I know this way before? And like
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
another thing. I've learned music for a good while, right? And I've never heard of the circle of
Mm-hmm.
fifths until way at the end. Like that's when I knew about the circle of fifths.
Yeah.
And when
Yep.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
the circle of fifths is basically a circle with all the keys, and you know it rotates and it gives you all the information
Mm-hmm.
you need. Because I always memorize them. Like what are the
Mm-hmm.
sharps, what are the flats
Mm-hmm.
in every key. I memorized
Yeah.
them in my head.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a circle.
The
That you could,
shortcuts.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think things like
Mm-hmm.
that, like
Mm-hmm.
little things like those music theory like tricks could
That's
improve
what
the experience of, you know, actually
you're
learning
right.
it.
That's why nowadays, right? Especially on YouTube, one of the ways a piano learning channel
it gets viewers and maybe keeps them is through these shortcuts. Because as soon as a channel starts to do things traditionally, people are like, mm-mm, I can get this live, and I don't want that live. So what else, right? So these channels, they will come with these tricks, these shortcuts, things like that, and they have found that people are like, wow, okay, um, all I have to remember to get this same sound or to get here is here 137 or 147. That's easy than having to memorize or do this and then this and keep in mind this and then A and B. Right? Especially nowadays when information is more geared towards being as fast and as condensed.
You know?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you do now, right? And how do you balance it? Because what are you doing right now as we speak? And like, how do you balance that with, family,
Uh,
with your job, with music, all that? Because yeah.
mhm. A big part of that comes from sitting down with your day and figuring out, number one, maybe what times are your most productive hours, and keeping in mind what your goals are in these different aspects of your life, and then trying to fit those in throughout the day, and do trying to do so in a way that will keep you motivated. So for example, for me, I know in the mornings, or the best time for me, if I would like to um practice the piano. Most of the day it's work slash family, and then when I come back home, I jump, I I jump on my drums. So I know that's how my day is set up. So having that in mind, and yeah, keeping that in mind for when I set up schedules and things like that, I know myself in that regard. Yeah, that's what helps me, try to juggle everything, you know.
All right. Are you working on anything
And
right
then,
now?
yeah,
Wait,
that's
okay.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's one. And then number two, making it easy for me to practice,
How do you do that?
right?
Cause
Okay, good.
cause check this, cause I assume you have a drum set in your house, right? Do
Uh-huh.
you?
Actually, no, no, I don't. Mm-mm.
Oh, you actually go somewhere else to
Um,
do it. Cause I was gonna ask you that because like you say after work, right? You come back and you
uh-huh.
probably go on your drums. So
Jump on
like
the drums.
so
Yeah,
I was
good.
like so I was like you actually be playing the drums at the nighttime, evening to
Oh,
nighttime, you might be disturbing people. So I
oh,
was like, I want to ask that.
good. But um, let let me clarify. So let me see. At one end of my apartment, I have my keyboard set up, everything set up. I simply press a button, everything comes to life, right? At another um side or area, I have my drum setup, which is simply my practice pad setup, and my double bass yeah, my double bass setup. That's it, right? Because when I'm at home, I I like to focus on rudiments, working up my hands and my feet.
The
And
basics.
then when I travel, yes, when I travel, then I I can now work out what I did on the practice pad on actual drums somewhere else. right? So I've set them up in such a way,
take stuff out and plug in and do this and do that, because by the time I do all of that, I might not feel like doing anything else, you know? So I make
Exactly.
it easy. I can sit down, press a button, begin to play. I can sit down, grab my sticks, begin to work out rudiments. So having my things like that, having my instruments out, makes it easy for me to get into practice more, you know.
Yeah,
So
that is
yeah,
true. Cause
and that
like,
cuts down on yeah, that cuts down on the amount of time I need to set up and do this, because the the, the more time I spend setting up, the less time I have to practice, right?
makes sense.
So yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, cause like one of the things that annoys me is like you see this the it's like not having your own
Can you hear me?
space to. Yeah, I can hear you now. Like not having enough space to set your stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
Because right now I have one table
Hmm.
in my room, and
Okay. Hmm.
I do a lot of things on that table. I need to like study, so that'll have its own setup. And then
Hmm.
to when I'm doing music, I have to literally have to reorganize everything to have it fit. And then when I can't have it there all the time because I find it's kind of like
Yeah.
in the way. So then I put it back and
Yeah.
go back to what I was doing before, and that kills me. That
Hmm.
kills the energy sometimes. It's like I want to be able to have my own setup. Let's say the mics,
Hmm.
everything is never moving. It's just there, and I just have to
Yep. Yep.
sit in the spot.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. So
Look,
definitely in the
man,
future,
it's
like oh
exactly,
wait.
exactly.
Have you seen this
Hmm.
thing on Facebook? It's like it's technically a meme. It's like it's like producers house plan, right? And then like
Uh-huh.
99% of the house is the studio, and then you have Ali bed,
Uh,
Ali kitchen,
yep.
anything else like that. But
Yep.
90%
Yep.
is the studio.
Yep.
I feel like that's something I might
Yep.
go for
Hmm.
in the future.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ali bathroom, Ali
That's true.
bed, Ali kitchen, and the whole thing
Yep.
is a
Yep.
studio.
It's a studio. That's true. That's true. That's true. Look, it's it's um it's all a matter of time. The thing is, if you recognize, okay, this is what I can do at this time, and you do it, that's a whole lot better than saying, well, I wanted to do A, B, C, and D. Apparently, I can only do A, so I won't do it. That's wrong. That's bad. That kills progress, right? Fine, um you can only do A, right? While you're doing A, stuff is going to happen that'll get you to B and C and D and the rest. Whatever you can do now, do it. That's it. You know?
All right, so let's say you were given an opportunity. Well, how do I put this? You are handed
Uh,
a lot of money, right?
mm,
Well, no. Let me rephrase it. If you couldn't do
okay.
music, right? If you couldn't do
Uh-huh.
music,
Uh,
what would you be doing?
mm. I'd be teaching music.
No, yeah.
Oh, nothing music.
Yeah.
Nothing music at all.
Yeah, let's say you
Wow.
weren't interested in music at all. What is that secondary,
Uh-huh.
that secondary hobby,
Thing that I'd be doing.
secondary thing that you would also
Oh.
be interested in doing? Yeah. Like I know you love
Oh.
music, but probably you had something else that you also like,
Uh-huh.
but you don't really like it like that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, if you
You know
couldn't do
what?
music,
Okay.
what would that be?
I would. Okay. Let me see. No music.
Take some time, take some time.
Okay. In a life without music, um, For a job, I would be teaching English, and then as a hobby, I would be a novelist or a writer of some kind.
Mm, interesting.
Yep, yep,
Do you like
yeah.
writing now?
That would have been it. No, I'm not doing that much writing. I'm doing a whole lot of reading though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm doing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if there was no music, yeah, I'd either be teaching English. No, I'd be teaching English as a job, and I would be doing some form of writing. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So let me ask you,
Well, what would yours be?
me?
Hmm.
I mean, I'm currently not doing music full time, uh, but I would want to reach like I don't know. Sometimes I just see my like if I wasn't doing medicine,
Hmm.
sometimes I just see myself like just like working on a new like music score for a film or like just in the studio with like
Remember,
Kanye
you
West
can't do music.
or
No,
no
there is no music.
the music question the music question oh if I couldn't do
Yeah,
music
yeah,
if I couldn't do music
yes. Mhm.
I'd probably try to see how if I could be a director or something or working on movies that's something I was
Oh, so
I'm
still the
fascinated
arts.
exactly. Oh,
Yeah,
so
okay.
you're asking me if it was nothing with the arts, what I would do?
No, no, no. Mm-mm, mm-mm. It was just music. Yeah, only music. So you're still good.
Yeah. Yeah, man, no.
Yeah, that's cool. Mm.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much you know about the music industry.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the music industry? I don't know like
That that's that's a
you know
big
how to
that's a
you know
big.
like the music industry in Belize maybe? Do you know anything about that? Um
Okay. Okay.
um just like I don't know, give us, I guess, your opinion on how it is, and maybe if there's stuff that you think
Hmm.
it needs to change in
Mm.
order to become more
Okay.
better.
Okay. All right. Huh. I'm gonna be as brutally honest as I can.
Yeah.
And for everybody either listening now or listening later, this is my opinion, right? My not so humble opinion. But I have found the music industry in Belize, such as it were, to be a very restrictive environment in that the avenues for exposure, the avenues for funding, the avenues for learning are controlled by the same small subset of individuals. So, what I have found to happen is essentially for you as an artist, a credible, talented, hopefully hardworking artist, for you to get any sort of breakthrough, given all of these things that I just mentioned about the industry in Belize, you almost enter this situation of glad handling, where you essentially, where the exposure your talent gets is dependent almost wholly or solely on the relationship you have with these individuals. In other words, if that relationship is non-existent, or if that relationship is not to these individuals' liking, you really aren't going to get that far,
That's
right?
hard
It
truth.
sounds very bleak, but yes, yeah. Again, at least in my opinion, right? That's one thing. The second thing is that yeah, when it comes to the development of the music industry, the development of Belizean artists or individuals, almost regardless of the genre, that area is still very, very much low in Belize, right?
Low in what way though?
Yeah,
Like
artists,
the amount of artists or
okay,
like
artists, no, 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 not at all. It's low in terms of the opportunities available to as many artists as possible to be able to learn and grow in their craft, right? You are almost, as an upcoming Belizean artist, you are almost really yeah, sorry, you are almost relegated to the role of having to struggle perennially on your own from beginning to end, right? There is nothing you can there is no program or source or foundation or something that you can look at and be like, yo, let me get tap into this because it'll help me, or they will help me grow as an artist, right? They aren't doing the work for me, right? They are guiding, they are helping. That still needs to happen in Belize, right? And once again, even those few what do you call it, even those few avenues that they currently are once again tightly controlled, tightly held. um those opportunities are doled out as favors, right?
yeah.
So that, for a lot of artists, that environment, especially when you are unaware of how to even approach these people, right? They are essentially the gate. Yeah,
Gatekeepers.
they are essential. Yes, they are um essentially gatekeepers of an avenue that is supposed to be as open as possible, right? So because of that, a lot of Belizean talent and creativity and potential is lost to the wayside, you know. So yeah, those are things that are currently bogging down the Belizean music industry. And the third thing is that I have seen that Belizean musical expression is almost closed off to, and this part was done really bad, but Belizean expression, musical expression is almost closed off to the more traditional genres,
And what do you
right?
mean by that?
We okay. So for okay, let me put it this way: in order for music to be considered Belizean, it has to be either Creole or Garifuna or Pontara. Has to be for it to be considered Belizean. And by that I mean um, for you to listen and go, that came from a Belizean, it has to be that, right? Now, let's say you are in the rock genre, you are a Belizean rock band, right? That's not considered Belizean for some reason. As soon as
Yeah.
drums and distorted drums
Vocals.
and distorted yeah, guitar gets in, mm-mm. Oh no, it's not, you know. So yeah, that um this third one might be a bit more personal for me, But yeah, I also see it that, full musical expression isn't something that is exactly encouraged. You have to ascribe or push yourself into a certain mode for you to be, you know, recognized in Belize.
Recognize.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I think so too. Like uh, a lot of people, like when they listen to my beats, right? They they say something about it. It just doesn't sound like what is out there, right? And I like that. That's a nice compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
when I'm making music or something, it's just whatever comes out of my head, right? I'm not really trying to copy anybody or trying to
You're not.
fit within a specific norm. And yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I continue to do that. But yeah,
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
right though.
Yeah.
You're right
Yeah.
though. You're right though.
Mm. So
What
like
was I gonna
all
say?
all of these. Hmm?
No,
No.
but
I was, yeah, I was agreeing with you. So like all of these little no, not little, but especially um the first two factors that I mentioned, those are things that I feel rapidly need to change in the Belizean music scene for any type of um, development to be seen. If
yeah.
not, I bet you 5, 10 years from now, there will be people having this same conversation, and this exact same thing will come up. So, yeah.
Yeah, like one of my goals especially is like I want to do something for like for the create something creatively, something when I go back to Belize, right? It'll be probably a project. It might be like to start like, okay, how do I say this? How do I say this? I
Mm.
think there is a
Take your time.
need. There's a need for more Belizeans to get into the arts, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that part of our industry, we have the music industry, we have some films here and
Mm.
there, but it's very weak. Like, it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one of the things
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of,
Mm-hmm.
who knows if it'll happen, but like, I want to start a whole school, right? Just for that, for videography, for photography, for music, and that could be an avenue separate from, let's say, a traditional school. Because I think I heard
Mm-hmm.
Galen has some courses, right? Some programs for photography and videography, I
Really?
believe. Yeah, I heard it the other day.
That's cool.
And that's cool.
Okay.
Because if there was something like
Mm-hmm.
that back in the day, I'd probably go there.
That. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely something that
Um,
needs to be worked on.
no, um, what you just mentioned um, is interesting because I think a big contributor to this issue also has to do with how the arts in general
Is
is
portrayed.
perceived in Belize,
Like it's
right?
something
Um,
that you shouldn't have to pay for, it's something that
mhm.
you should just have, because a lot of people don't like like paying for music, right? We just find it somehow.
Arts, the arts in Belize, and not just in Belize, I have to say, but I live here, so yeah. The arts in Belize, it's not looked at as something viable or something on par with other subjects, right? It's looked at as something flimsy, as something that should be only kept to the level of hobby and not taken seriously, So we don't invest as much educationally in Belize as we should to take advantage of all of this potential creativity, right? So it starts from there. From in school, um, we are brought up with this idea that for some reason it's just not as important in terms of pursuing or having a career in the arts in Belize and be viable
Exactly.
compared to the other courses,
Exactly.
right? And that view is reinforced over and over and over and over again, right? So that when you come out or when you decide to do something on your own, it's a whole lot harder than it should be, you know?
I mean, I
So
think
that's
the
something
life,
else that needs to be
I think the life of a artist is always gonna be hard, I think. So it's gonna be hard.
always, 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 yeah. Because before you even begin convincing others, you first have to convince yourself that you're not insane, and then try to convince others, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely something like that has to happen, like more programs
In the
or
education system, more investment,
yeah,
more resources, make time for it, you know, elevate its importance, you
yeah,
know.
and somehow allow it to be at least viable enough, right? Because like after you finish doing that,
Mhm,
you want to make sure you could put food on the table, right? You know?
mhm,
So
mhm.
definitely, definitely.
And then there is another thing that I just remembered is there is also the perception of Belizean people when it comes to Belizean artists, right? And
Mm.
again, this is not only an issue in Belize, right? But once again, I'm picking on Belize because I live here.
Live there, yeah.
Th- This, hmm, this, oh, 1 second. Yeah, this might actually be considered a holdover from colonial times, where the domestic stuff is almost never as good as the international stuff, right?
That,
And consider that Belize is small, this person or that person trying to become this artist, you saw them in diapers years ago. So it's hard for you to make that mental shift from that boy to this artist, you know? So it's not until they go international or get really big that your ideas of what they are capable of can change, you
I
know.
mean,
But yeah,
I've definitely been uh, a person like that used to thought that way. I was like, if it doesn't come from the United States or something, it's not good, right? That was my perception in the past, right? But now it's totally different thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that will also that perception amongst Belizean people themselves will also need to change before I think you know we can see a considerable shift towards people taking the arts seriously, you know. So,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Final question, right, for you.
Mm,
What are you
mm.
working on now? Anything that you're working on now? And
Yeah.
And anything in the future
Yeah,
to look forward to?
sure. Yes,
Wait,
definitely. So,
actually,
uh-huh,
hold that question. I'm gonna put one before it.
uh-huh.
If you
Okay.
if you were able to collaborate with anybody, right, in the music scene,
Hmm.
who would that be? Alive or dead? Alive or
Wow.
dead?
Okay. A-
Hopefully
Alive or
alive.
dead?
Hopefully
Wow.
alive, so you can, there's a chance.
Hopefully alive. Okay. Okay, let me see. I would like to have to I would like to have Tori Kelly do vocals on a track of mine. Dang.
Who is for
Tori
Kelly?
Kelly do vocal. No, Tori.
Tori.
Tori. Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes. I would like her to do vocals. I would like Mario Duplantier, um drummer from Gojira. I would like him to play on a song of mine. So yeah, those
nice,
two.
nice.
Yeah. Tori for Tori for her vocals. She has, yeah, an otherworldly voice, vocal range out out of
Off
this
the
world.
charts.
Mario as a yes, Mario as a drummer, unfreaking believable. So yeah, those two. Hey, actually, those two on the same track.
On the same
Yeah,
track. Double
on the
whammy.
same track. Yeah. Yes, yes. Yeah, that would kill. Yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. All right, let's go back.
Mm.
Let's end things off with a little bit about what you're
Okay,
working on now and what you're working on, what you're going to be working on in the
sure.
future, or what to look for from you
Okay,
in the future, in the future. Yeah.
okay, cool. Our people, so I am currently working on my first effort, a solo EP titled Limerence, hopefully to be out before the end of this year. Yeah, I'm going to be working on that. The songs you hear will be very, very, very different from either stuff you think you can um, e- e- expect from me or stuff you think you've heard before. So there's that. And then after that, I will be formally working on my very first album. So yeah, and that hopefully um, should come out sometime next year. So for right now, it's the EP Limerence to be out before year's end.
Nice, because I know you sent me some of the tracks to listen to, and I gotta say they're good. You because
We're getting there.
yeah,
We are inching our way there.
because I think you told me that like, oh, the audio is not as good, it's not mixed yet and stuff. But to me it sounds
Hmm.
fairly there. So I'm
We
excited. I'm
we
excited
are we.
to see the
Hmm.
album come out,
Hmm.
hopefully this year, right? And then one next year.
Yeah, the EP this year, the album next year. So I'm pumped. Actually, no, I'm scared, but I'm pumped.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, well, I think that's it.
That's it.
Anything you wanna say? Oh yeah,
Oh no.
tell people where they can find you if you use like different social media, or like where people can
Sure.
listen to any music that you have, because
Okay.
is
Okay.
there a place people
Well,
can go?
at this point, all of that is still being built. It's still in the works. But when it's time, trust me, they will know. Yeah, that's number one. And then number two, thank you very, very much for this opportunity. it's it's been a while. It, yeah, it's been it's yeah.
You can't even speak
It's
right
been a
now.
while. No, dang, it's been a minute. Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully you start setting up some sort of social media, your Twitter, Instagram, maybe a YouTube page if you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling like it,
Yep.
because
It's coming. Trust me.
people
It
people
is
people gotta
coming. It's
people gotta hear the music from you. No one knows what.
Gotta let the world know. I agree. It's coming. It's gonna happen.
All right then, well, thank you for this opportunity to
Thank you too.
because
You too.
I don't do this much, but I feel like I need to do them more.
Mm.
Because you see, I've had I think I've done like 3 podcasts, right?
Mm.
And like the,
You've done something.
I've done something, yeah. But
Yep.
I don't know, it was just too much work. The funny thing is, I say it's too much work, but I'm doing a lot of work here too. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
I just don't like audio. I don't like editing audio for hour.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That
yeah. So
sounds like a pain.
hopefully this type of like interview will continue on in the future, like with more guests. And also, when the album comes back, I mean, when the album is out, let's come back again. Give us some,
Exactly.
give us
Exactly.
some
Mm-hmm.
live tiny desk type
Performances. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
definitely.
I have to plug it, so yeah. Yeah. I'll be
Yeah, all
back.
right. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right, well, and for those that are still watching, the 2 people, this will be
Hey y'all.
reformatted for YouTube, right? This is mainly for YouTube. It wasn't really meant for Instagram. Sorry, people who use Instagram. But yeah, you'll see this
So
video on
sorry.
YouTube. You'll see this video on YouTube hopefully soon. It shouldn't take too long to do it. So if you missed it, you'll be able
Okay.
to see it on YouTube. Yeah, yeah. So any last
Yo,
words?
this is Hit signing out. Thank you very much. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Y'all have
All
a good
right,
time.
all right, man. Until next time.
All
Later,
right,
man.
till next time.
Yeah, man.
All right. Peace.
So how do you turn this off now? I don't use Instagram.
I think there's an X.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
there is.
Hold on. Let me see.
What you're gonna do it for me?
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't make sense though, because
Yeah.
yeah, I found it now.
Okay.
I found it.
Okay. You go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.